Sunday evening at Aronimink Golf Club, the grandstand around the 17th green were packed. The sun was dropping behind the Pennsylvania tree line, painting the course in that unmistakable golden light that only shows up when something important is about to happen. A 31-year-old Englishman, ranked 44th in the world, stood over a 68-foot putt with a two-shot lead. Nobody in the gallery had built this moment around. Nobody had written his name at the top of their predictions. And yet, when that ball dropped into the cup, Aronimink exploded louder than it had all week. Aaron Rai had just won the 2026 PGA Championship, and almost nobody saw it coming. But to understand how we arrived at that Sunday moment, we need to go back to the beginning of the week. Because the story of this major did not start with Aaron Rai. It started with a toenail. Rory McIlroy arrived at Aronimink as the reigning Masters champion, a man who had just defended his green jacket at Augusta National, becoming only the fourth player in history to successfully defend the Masters title. He was the hottest player in major championship golf, carrying momentum that most professionals only dream about. Then came the toenail. The problem first surfaced the previous Friday during the second round of the Truist Championship at Quail Hollow. McIlroy had developed a blister underneath the nail of the small toe on his right foot. On Sunday, he mentioned it almost casually to about a blister on my pinky toe on my right foot, but it's underneath my nail, so I can't really get to it, or so it's a little sore. I'll be all right, McIlroy said. Most people moved on. A blister on a pinky toe did not exactly sound like a career-threatening problem. What happened over the next 48 hours turned it into one of the biggest pre-tournament stories on the PGA Tour. By Monday night, the pain had gotten bad enough that McIlroy soaked his foot in the bath, tried to soften the toenail, before eventually pulling the entire nail off himself right there at home, because the pressure and irritation underneath had become too much to manage with the nail still attached. He showed up to his Tuesday press conference at Aronimink with his left shoelace visibly. After finishing his media obligations, he actually showed reporters the injury up close. He said he removed the nail because it was bothering him so much and genuinely believed that taking it off would solve the problem. The relief in his voice when he spoke about it Tuesday morning, he sounded like a man who had handled the situation and was ready to move forward. Then he went out onto the golf course, and reality hit fast. He made it through 3 holes of his Tuesday practice round before the pain became too severe to continue. People watching on the course saw him stop in the 3rd fairway and actually sit down on the ground, taking his shoe and sock completely off to examine. He removed his shoe again on the 4th tee before ultimately deciding he could not go further. He left Aronimink that day in a golf cart, and when Golf Channel's Kira Dixon caught up with him near the clubhouse, members of his support team were arriving with multiple boxes of shoes, trying to find something that could reduce the friction and pressure on the exposed area. Now, casual fans might hear blister or toenail and reasonably wonder what the big deal is. Here is why it matters. Every single swing in golf begins from the ground. Weight transfer, balance, torque through the ankles and knees, the ability to hold a stable base through impact, all of it runs through the... Walking a major championship course over 4 consecutive days covers miles and miles of terrain, including uneven fairway lies, bunker floors, hillside slopes, and rain-soft rough. Any disruption in how a player feels at ground level can ripple upward through the entire swing in ways that are sometimes subtle and sometimes dramatic. An awkward tee shot here, a flinch through a downhill lie there, one slightly off-balance moment on a critical putt. In a major, those tiny fractions separate champions from players who finish outside the top 20. After Tuesday's abbreviated session, McIlroy and his team went to work. Golf Channel reported that he had been fitted for custom shoes with extra width to accommodate the swelling and sensitivity around the exposed area. He had already moved up an entire shoe size just to create more room. I figured it out and separated the little toe from the other ones and a bit of cushion around it, definitely. Then going to a bigger shoe in a different style as well, a little wider and a little softer. It's half a size up and it's a wide fit, so there's just a bit more room, McIlroy explained. The plan also involved a toe separator between his pinky and 4th toe, specific bandaging, and ongoing pain management throughout the week. By Wednesday, the updates began to sound considerably more encouraging. People who watched him on the range reported he was hitting driver at full speed, producing ball speeds around 175 miles per hour with a 3-wood and carrying drives well over 330 yards. He showed no sign of a limp. McIlroy himself said he was not worried and believed he would be okay for Thursday's opening. Popping the blister relieved the pressure, but it was swollen and bruised, so it's just sore. But it's fine, all good, he said. He was confirmed to tee off at 8:40 a.m. alongside Jon Rahm and Jordan Spieth, one of the most fascinating groupings in recent major matches. But even with the encouraging Wednesday reports, the toe story had done something very hard to undo. It had created uncertainty. It had introduced a question mark into the narrative around a player who, coming into this week, had nothing but momentum and confidence surrounding him. That psychological damage was already done. McIlroy was not walking into an easy situation, even if fully healthy. The 2026 PGA Championship field at Aronimink was loaded from top to bottom. Scottie Scheffler, the world #1 and defending champion, entered as the plus 480 favorite. He had won at Quail Hollow the previous year by 5 shots and had not finished worse than runner-up since March. He had finished in the top 7 at each of his last 6 major tournaments. He simply does not fall apart under major championship pressure. Jordan Spieth was making his 10th attempt at completing the career Grand Slam. A victory here would give him all 4 major titles and place him in the most exclusive company the sport offered. His ball striking had shown genuine life. He led the entire field at the Truist Championship in strokes gained off the tee. If his irons were dialed in and his putting held together, he absolutely had a game to. Cameron Young, ranked 3rd in the world, have been one of the most compelling stories of the entire 2026 season. Wins at the Players' Championship and the Cadillac Championship, plus a T3 finish at the. His ball striking was elite across every major category. The only question surrounding him was his putting, ranked 50th in strokes gained putting, and Aronimink's fast, contoured greens were going to test that weakness directly. Jon Rahm arrived chasing what his countrymen called the Spanish Grand Slam. Spanish players had won every major except the PGA Championship. Seve Ballesteros, Jose Maria Olazabal, and Sergio Garcia had all won majors, but the Wanamaker Trophy had eluded every Spaniard. It does mean a lot. To tie it all together with the greats of the past of Spain would be quite unique, Rahm said. The course itself added another layer of complexity. Aronimink Golf Club, a Donald Ross design just outside Philadelphia in Newtown Square, Pennsylvania, was hosting its first PGA Championship since Gary Player won there in 1962. At 7,394 yards as a par 70, with 176 bunkers and massive contoured bentgrass greens averaging around 8,200 square feet, this was not a course that would forgive imprecision. A Gil Hansa and Jim Wagner restoration in 2018 brought it closer to Ross's original vision, removing trees and restoring bunkering. The greens were the entire defense. Find a wrong quadrant on those putting surfaces, and a seemingly routine approach shot could turn into a scramble for bogey. What makes this place difficult are the greens, said Keegan Bradley, who won the 2018 BMW Championship at Aronimink. You really need to be able to control your distances, hit the ball in the fairway. The greens get really crazy, and they are really mounded and hilly. Round 1 arrived cold, windy, and brutal. The pin placements were immediately described as diabolical by Spieth. They give you kind of an easier start on the first hole, on number 1, and from there it got kind of diabolical, he said. McIlroy, dealing with his toe from the very first step, carded a 4/74, a nightmare began. Bryson DeChambeau shot 6 over. The early leaders were relative unknowns. Aldrich Potgieter, Stefan Jaeger, Minwoo Lee, and Rio Hizitsun. Spieth managed a 169 with 4 birdies, 11 pars, and 3 bogeys, keeping his Grand Slam hopes alive. Round 2 continued the carnage. Pin placements remained severe, and the course kept biting. Spieth shot 72, effectively ending his Grand Slam chances for another year. The week did produce one moment of genuine brilliance. Spieth's 70-yard knockdown shot attacking a pin position that very few other professionals would have attempted. Justin Thomas said maybe 5 people in the entire field could have pulled that shot off. The cut line was brutal, the field being shredded by a combination of conditions and setup. Then came round 3, and everything changed. Saturday brought warmth, calm winds, and friendlier pin positions. The morning wave of players stormed the course. Christopher Wrighton carded 2 eagles, a near ace on a par 4. and finished at 5 under for the round. Chris Kirk nearly broke the PGA Championship record before a double bogey on 18 left him with a 5 under round. Justin Rose, who had needed an eagle just to make the cut, rode a 5-birdie opening 9 to also shoot 5 under. Joaquin Niemann finished at 4 under for the round. Topping them all was Rory McIlroy. Starting the day at +1, he had caught the leaders at 4 under by the 13th hole, a full 45 minutes before the afternoon leaders even teed off. He gave one shot back coming in, but a 466 put him just one shot off the lead. "If I wasn't playing this tournament, I'd love what's going on this week," McIlroy said after his round. But watching and playing are two different things. Alex Smalley grabbed the outright lead at 6 under with a late birdie barrage. Entering Sunday, 22 players sat within 4 shots of the lead and 30 within 5. Data Golf listed Smalley with a 17.5% win probability, Aberg at 13.1%, and Rahm at 12.7%. Nobody had Aaron Rai at the top of any list. Round 4 was supposed to be a jailbreak. McIlroy started 3 shots back and made his charge, but could not birdie the 2 par 5, the most gettable holes on the course. On the par 5/16, his second shot from 37 yards out of the rough came up short and bounced into a bunker. From somewhere in the gallery came a USA shout. McIlroy spun, glared at the spectator, grumbled under his breath, and appeared to point the person out to security. He ultimately shot 69, finishing at 4 under in a tie for 7th. "I think not birdieing the 2 par 5s and making the bogey at the drivable par 4/13th, he said afterward. "To me, I felt like I played the golf I needed to play the rest of the week. If I birdied the 2 par 5s and turned that 5 into a 3 on 13, the day looks very different." Rahm finished 3 shots back in a tie for 2nd. Aberg finished 4 shots back. While the Giants stumbled, Aaron Rai did something extraordinarily ordinary. He hit fairways. He hit greens. He stayed patient. Rai is not a conventional figure on the PGA Tour. He is one of the 7 shortest players on tour off the tee and uses a driver that was released 7 years ago. He wears 2 black gloves on every full swing. He uses a plastic orange tee, and every iron in his bag is protected by an iron cover. His path to golf came from an unlikely moment. He was struck by his brother's hockey stick at age. His mother, who had immigrated to England from Kenya, bought him plastic golf clubs as an alternative to contact sports. His father, who had immigrated from India, quit his job when Rai was young to help him focus entirely on. Rai came to cherish his clubs so deeply that he wanted to protect them. Thus, the iron covers. I didn't really mix with a lot of other junior golfers, which didn't give me a perspective of what was normal. So, I think he kind of sheltered me to be able to develop in a way that made sense for me, in a way that I guess was a little bit unique with 2 gloves, with iron covers, etc., Rai said of his father's. On Sunday, his weapon was not distance. It was accuracy. He hit every fairway on the back 9 in the final round. After a bogey on hole 3, he responded immediately with a